Well, hey, good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to this week's edition of Coffee Before Class. My name's Chris, and I'll just spend a couple minutes here with you talking about a topic that I felt kind of came to life to me this week, recently in the past week, which is one of patience, and even mindfulness. This past week, I was doing training in Philly, and we were working on de-escalation tactics. One of the conflict resolution, de-escalation. One thing that probably many people could take the time to kind of absorb, and dealing with whether it's internal issues, external. But we were having some great discussions. But one of the things that really came out of the class that I felt was useful and kind of resonated with me as we just simplify the process that we were talking about was slow down, right? Take a step back and exercise elements of patience, right? And the idea of avoiding conflict and de-escalating those moments of conflict, personal, professional, whatever, there's a certain skill set that takes into being able to take a breath, relax a little bit, and slow things down to a bit. It's great to see you guys here in this morning. Happy to see everyone. Got a few different people, different parts of the world, which is fantastic. I always love seeing that, right? But we are right now in my favorite time of the year, right? I love fall. And not just because, I've got football season and everything else going on, the changing of seasons, the changing of leaves, but things start to slow down, right? The pace of the summer, the days are starting to become shorter. And soon enough, in, the UK and in Europe, at the end of the month, we'll be turning clocks back. Here in the States, in about a month from now, November 6th, we're going to turn clocks back. We're going to slow everything down and exercise elements of patience throughout this entire process. Here's what I want you guys to think about. When it comes to patience, the Google tells us, and I thought I had it pulled up, but it's not there. But by definition, hang on a second here, guys. I thought I had it up. But patience is, let me see what the Google says, right? The Google says patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. So I'm going to start by exercising patience about my beloved Steelers. I have a feeling it's going to be a long year and probably a horrible weekend because I might be forced to sit next to Dave Thompson while he's wearing Bills stuff this weekend as we get ready for Elite Training Day. Patience, right? But using patience becomes, I think, really, really important in how we communicate with people, how we get information, and even in the interview room. Mistakes I see good interviewers and good investigators make in that interview room is we rush to the point. We rush to whatever the topic is, particularly if you're having a subject interview where you know that they're involved in something that they shouldn't be into. And what we tend to do is we become confrontational in that moment because we're rushing to the point. We're rushing to the end game. And by doing so, of course, we create conflict, we create obstacles, and we in that moment then have to exercise patience. But talking with this class in Philly this week, it was, in the various issues that this organization was dealing with, there's certainly a need for patience. There's a need for mindfulness. And I think mindfulness is a part of your emotional intelligence and how we deal with the situations that, once again, according to the Google, create, right, delay, trouble, or suffering, right? How do we exercise patience and mindfulness? And it is take a deep breath, take it slow, slow that pace down. I'll give you an example of my, about a week ago, last Sunday, go to a little pizza place. We got a little pizza place that we love, grabbing a pie from. And I want to get the pie before the evening game last week. Thank goodness that evening game didn't involve the Broncos and Colts. But get a pie before the game. And, we call up, they say, hey, it's going to be 45 minutes. Perfect. We got it timed out. Perfect. I'm going to be able to grab that pie, come back. I'm not going to miss, any ball. Run over there. And I get there and I say, hey, name, blah, blah, blah. Hey, by the way, let me pay for it. And I wait and I wait and I wait and I wait and I wait. And that 45-minute pie turns into, unfortunately, an hour and 20 minutes. Right? So I'm standing there for more than a half hour. And I could tell they were quite busy enough that there was chaos behind the counter. There was delay. There was disappointment. Boy, those pies were coming off of the belt. And I could see this poor girl who was taking pies off the belt and throwing them into the boxes and cutting them and everything. You could tell that she was frustrated. You could see that she looked back and she talked to someone. Now, it wasn't in a very pleasant way, but she talked to someone and said, will you get out here and help me? No help came. You know what she did? She just stood still and let a couple pies fall off of that belt right onto the ground. I remember thinking to myself, that better not be my pie, right? Patience. And I stood there and I waited and I waited. And eventually my pie came up and I was able to get home. And we have a little saying around the house here. And I got back and I didn't even have my phone because I just planned to just run out, grab it, come right back. And I came back and I got the, hey, what took so long? And I said, geez, they were crazy busy. In fact, I saw pies hitting the ground. That's how busy they were. They just couldn't get anything going. Now the kind of joking phrase that we have around the house is, I'm going to put my foot in someone's right. And of course she said to me, did you put your foot in someone's? And I said, no, babe, I didn't. They were busy. There were enough other people putting their foot in someone's, right? I didn't need to add to it. Patience in the interview room, patience, exercise, mindfulness. When we think about, emotional intelligence, exercising the ability to have patience with, things going on in our personal life, our, teams, that we need some patience. Think about mindfulness as well, right? Mindfulness. I mean, recently travel over the last month, I've been to places like Kuwait City and Kuwait, Doha. Is it Qatar or Qatar? I still don't know. No, in Doha, Qatar, right? Louisiana, Seattle, recently in Philly, just in the last month, right? Standing in line, boarding planes, waiting for bags, waiting for Ubers, waiting for taxis, patience, exercise mindfulness. Mindfulness, when we think about mindfulness, and I want you guys, and I kind of want to leave you with a thought around mindfulness and how we might be able to exercise mindfulness in our lives and being able to slow down a little bit. And in that interview room, mindfulness, when we think about it, it's an important factor in growth and emotional intelligence, right? When you are mindful, you become fully open, alert, and aware of what is transpiring around you. There's enough other people putting their foot in someone's that I don't need to add to it, right? You set all judgment and biases aside. You objectively obsess or assess, right? People, places, and situations you encounter. De-escalation, conflict. I'm encountering resistance from someone that I'm interviewing. Reluctant witness, victim or complainant. Reluctance or lack of cooperation, perhaps coming from, my person of interest in this particular investigation. But exercising mindfulness puts me in that situation, atmosphere of cooperation, collaboration, right? It limits the need for any elements of conflict. It puts us in a position of actively listening to all input of others and lay the groundwork for teamful work, collaboration, right? While being mindful, what we're able to do, you can recognize your own emotional response to what's happening. Now, one thing that I always remind people when we're in the interview room is people are reading you and how you are sending the message and how you are capturing information from someone. But if you can recognize your own emotional response and you can identify what feelings are being understood when we show empathy in the interview room, and we can control our own emotions, even in the face of a lack of resistance, even in the face of those pies hitting the ground, even in the face of crazy long lines at airports, right? So think about patience, mindfulness. And one thing to keep in mind here for those of you that, kind of think through and follow, concepts that are, that WZ teaches, and gathering information in that interview room. We outline strategies, I guess I would say. We outline strategies for you, and give you kind of a step-by-step approach. But we have to remember, while interviews, when we look at them in this linear approach as a step-by-step, kind of strategy, conversations and interviews aren't always linear and aren't always step-by-step. But again, going back to really quickly about making mistakes or seeing mistakes that take place within the interview room, it's doing the step for the sake of doing the step, but not doing the step because of the purpose of the step. And slow down, take a breath, exercise some patience all around us, and that will help us with de-escalation. It'll help us with conflict resolution. It helps us to exercise our emotional intelligence. It helps to gather more accurate, more actionable, and more valuable information in that interview room. Slow down, take a breath, exercise some patience, guys. I hope you guys found a couple things out of today as a good refresh, good reminder. As we turn those clocks back within the next month, we're going to start slowing down. Have some patience with your team, with your kids, with your boss, with the people that we sit in front of in those interview rooms. Exercise some patience. Safe travels to y'all. I hope get an opportunity to see some of you this week in Myrtle Beach with the Elite Training Day. I know Tony, Dave, and I will be there Monday for the masterclass, and then I'll be around throughout the entire conference. So I do hope you guys are there, and I do get to meet some of you and see some of you in person. It's been a long time since we've done that, and I've been able to do that. So once again, when we do that, let's take a breath together, right? And have some patience. So you guys have a fantastic Friday. Have a great rest of your week. Once again, I hope to see you next week, and good luck to your teams. And please have some patience on my behalf, because the Mitchell Trubisky experiment exercised a great deal of patience in me. Now we're on to the young guy, right? And so you guys have a good week and exercise patience around you, okay? See you guys. Cheers.